Welcome back to another episode of the Full Count Podcast. I'm here with Andrew. We're going to talk about Angels baseball and everything going on with Angels baseball in the past couple weeks and for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have an Angel fan here that's going to give us his take on all the crazy stuff that's happening here. First, we want to talk about the state of the Angels. So I haven't seen a more bleak outlook in a sports team in recent memory, especially for a big market team like a team based in Los Angeles. I don't remember in recent memory, especially with really bad teams like the Browns, the Clippers, and you can name a few other teams where coming into the season, things looked so bad going in. It's almost like the Angels should be thinking like, hey, can I hibernate for 3 or 4 years until we get some draft picks and things are different, and then start being an Angel fan again? So there's been a lot of stuff, and then I'll kind of start with a few surveys that recently went around. So Sports Illustrated has the Angels to finish 4th in the AL West, and you're probably thinking like, hey, 4th isn't that bad, but it's going. The 5th team is the A's, so that's saying something. So you have one of the worst teams in one of their worst, down periods in their franchise history, and the Angels are right there with them. But any other division, I think they'd be projected to finish last. So they said that the Angels are set to finish 4th. There's another survey that went around with the Athletic. It was an online survey to Angels fans, Angels season ticket holders, and some of the questions were, how do you feel about Arte Moreno and how he operates the team? How do you feel about the outlook? How do you feel about the GM? And here's what Angel fans had to say, and you tell me whether you agree here, Andrew. So 90% feel that Arte Moreno can't operate the team. 95% want him to sell the team, and 75% don't have confidence in the GM Perry Minasian. What do you think about that? Are those numbers accurate to you?
I feel like overall it's pretty accurate. I don't think he's been doing a good job at all. It seems that he keeps getting, every now and then he'll get these very well-known players with huge contracts like Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, and then we don't do anything with it. So it's really disappointing to see this, where for the past couple of years we felt all this confidence that we were going to do well, and we're not. And I don't know, it's just not a cool outlook for our team. It's really bad, and I feel bad saying I'm an Angel fan too. Like, I'm not proud to say it anymore. So I feel like I'm the Oakland A's now when I rock the Angel hat. So it's not fun, man. So that's why when I hear people say, oh, are you going to be a Dodger fan now? Because I do a lot of business in LA. I almost want to do it, but I can't do it because I still got to stay loyal, kind of like what we'll talk about later about Mike Trout. But that's my team, man. So I got to just rock with it.
Yeah, that's respectable. I think you're born with teams through thick and thin. You have to go through those bad times, but when you win the World Series, you come out on top. It's that much sweeter. So
yes, can I just mention one thing? I was just going to mention one thing. I was at the World Series in 2002 with my dad, so it has that special meaning for me. And that's the only time the Angels won a World Series, and I was there to visualize it as a child. So I have some fond memories there, and that's another reason why I remain loyal to the Angels.
Oh, that's cool. Were you there for Game 7?
Yeah, I was there for Game 7 against the Giants. It was amazing, dude. Like, when we won the World Series, when we left to the parking lot, it was absolutely insane. Like, as a kid, I never saw certain things I never thought I would see, and people were on top of cars celebrating, and it was just crazy. But it was one of the best experiences of life.
Yeah, dude, I bet. I was at Game 7 of the World Series when the Dodgers lost to the Astros.
Ooh,
and I'll tell you, that was probably one of the saddest days of my life. I was sitting there so excited for that game to start. I remember it was like a cloudy, gloomy day, and just had kind of like a bad feeling as soon as we sat down and that first inning happened. We're like, oh man, I don't want to sit through this. And I had to sit through 3 hours knowing that I have to take the bus home. All sad. I'll think about this forever, but I guess that's sports, right? It's life. Like you can't.
It's life, and that's sports. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, I guess.
So, as an Angel fan, everything that's happened in this offseason, everything that's happened, recently with the Angels, all the past stuff, is this going to affect the way you follow the Angels? Are you going to go to games or not go to games because of this?
I'm definitely going to continue going to games. I won't be as I don't know how to say it. Like maybe I won't feel as focused to the game. I'll be more partaking in the moment with whoever I go with. I'll be drinking extra alcohol, maybe
Mhm.
enjoy my time, let the time go by quicker, and maybe use it more for like networking for work. Definitely be watching the game, but I won't probably feel as thrilled to be there like it was last year when I saw Shohei and Mike playing together. That was pretty cool, even though Mike was injured most of the time. So, I really hope they can turn it around in a few years from now. But we'll have to see, because if Artie is still in charge of it, it doesn't look like a lot will change.
Yeah, that's true. But one upside to that is tickets will be cheap.
Yes, yes, I know, because I've been seeing like the Dodger tickets, what people are projecting them to be. It's freaking high,
Mhm.
dude. So I'm definitely very excited that cheap tickets will be good, especially if I do any type of like networking in a suite with clients or whatever. At least I don't have to
Yeah.
overspend so much money. Unlike you, Sway,
Yeah.
now
All
you
right.
got to spend a lot of money.
Dude, we'll probably go to more Angels games because we live a little closer to Angel Stadium and it's
Yes.
cheap. Like we went to the last game of the season at Angel Stadium and tickets were $4. So I took
No
the
way,
wife, took the
dude.
two kids. We spent like $20. It was more to park our van than it was for tickets to that game. But we also went to a Dodger game and it was like $300.
Jeez.
So
Wow.
the kids are
Do
going to
you
be
rock?
Dodger fans no matter what, but they might
Right.
experience more Angel games than I really want them to. But at least they get exposed to. At least they get exposed to
Right.
baseball.
Right. Now,
So,
do you
what do
have
you
them
think about?
rocking the blue? You're rocking the blue. You feel safe doing that at the Angel Stadium, right? I would imagine. I feel like I don't feel the same way when I go to the Dodger Stadium wearing red.
No, no, I would. I'm not that type that wears like Dodger gear to an Angel game usually, or when I go like
Really?
travel for work and go to baseball games. I don't want that smoke always.
Yeah.
So just go in just
Chris,
regular clothes.
if Chris
Yeah,
was
Chris
here
is
watching
dangerous.
this, he would give you so much crap for that right now. Oh man,
Yeah, but
that's
I just want
funny.
to enjoy the time, especially if I'm with my family. Like I don't want people
Yeah.
talking shit when I'm with my kids.
That's
But
100% true. I could definitely see that being the case. I normally, if I'm, so when I go to like the Dodgers or the Padres games, I normally wear similar colors, or I wear like a different hat that's similar color for the most part. So I could see why you do that for sure.
yeah, if I'm single, yeah, I'm just a regular guy. 10 years ago, yeah, I would do it. But I'm not
Yeah,
trying to set a bad example for my kids.
100%. Yeah, that's a good point.
So what do you think about Ron Washington as the Angels' new coach? Do you think that he's an old guy? He's probably 70 years old. He's been in baseball his whole life. Do you think he could still connect with the younger players and motivate people like the Rendons of the world, the Trouts of the world? What do you think is going to happen with this? Or he's going to be another one and done manager as the Angels have been doing the last few years?
I mean, the track record is it's probably going to be a one and done, but I don't know. I think it's too early to tell. I haven't really watched too much of his interviews to give you a better answer for that, but I don't know. I think a lot of it's going to come down to Mike Trout, see what kind of leader he is. If he convinces him and Artie to sign on one of the big free agents, then if we
Mhm.
see that like momentum build up, then I think there might be some potential there for the team. But otherwise, it seems like they're kind of already down on their luck, especially with Anthony Rodon. Or is it Rodon or Rendon? I already forgot.
Rendon. Rendon.
Rendon, yeah. I don't know. They need to like figure something out with that guy and bring some more positivity to our team, because that negative energy is not cool. So I think something's got to give there for sure.
Yeah, did you hear those comments where he was saying that baseball's not my priority? I mean, that makes sense. Like, hey, he said something like it's faith, family, and then baseball. What do you think about that?
I actually agree with that. I don't. I want to hear what you say, what you have to say, but I totally agree with that. Faith, family, then your job. Right? His job is baseball. However, you got to understand who's actually saying it. Like someone with his background already, where he's not looking good, all this negative press on him already, and he goes out there to say that, not good. I think it would make more sense if it was a good player that is very passionate about the game, and then they were to explain it in that certain way, but maybe a little bit smoother, rather than just saying it's not a top priority. I think that's really bad the way he did it. Although I do totally understand what he's kind of saying, but at the end of the day, it shouldn't come from his mouth. It should come from another player, if anything. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. If I'm his publicist, I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
You didn't have to say that.
Yeah. His publicist must be pissed, or his sports, or who's his agent, by the way? Do you know?
I don't know. I'm leaning toward to Scott Boras, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, I'm sure they need to like put their clamps on him and like shake him up a little bit and be like, dude, you got to like start saying some more positive things, especially because he didn't even play really last year. So, and such a big contract. So I don't know. I mean, he's got to, even if it's not his top priority, he should at least say it is, like top 3 priorities versus talking like that. I didn't like that as an Angel fan, but I do understand where he's coming from. So I can't totally, diss him too much.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think you can get away with saying stuff like that if you work at Wells Fargo or if you're just a regular person. But when you're making $30 million a year, you have to play the game a little bit, or not even just don't do interviews. Like keep the camera away from him because he's his own worst enemy as far as public image goes now.
Yeah, I mean, some players have that smooth ability to really resonate on camera and make people feel good. I don't know if you've seen like Tyler Glass now. He does a great job on camera. People want to hear more from him. He's like very warm. And there's other players as well that do such an incredible job. Mike Trout doesn't do too bad either. So I don't know. If I was Anthony, I would definitely check out those players and try and figure out a way to emulate how they speak on camera. Or like you said, Sway, just don't even do any press. Just get out of that light and get your performance out there, man. Start doing good on the field, and then maybe take some answers from the press. But besides that, get out of the light.
Yeah, exactly. He's a reporter's dream. That's the clickbait dream scenario. We want to interview Rendon because he's going to say something he's going to put his foot in his mouth, and we can publish that 10 times in a row. So.
Yeah, I think they know that he's the perfect person to take the bait. So definitely,
and he does every time.
He needs some work, that's for sure, on camera and probably on the field too.
Yeah. So what do you think? Should the Angels just cut their losses with him now? Because the GM, Perry Manosian, whatever how you say his name, he seems to love him. He says he works hard. He says he's dedicated. He said all these positive things to back him up and lift him up after, his comments went public. Should the Angels, though, cut ties? Because other teams do that a lot of times, or say, for example, like the Bauer situation, Dodgers paid him $20 million just to get out of town. Should they just, eat the contract and let, a minor leaguer that's the next third baseman in the minor leagues have a shot at it?
I think this is a perfect opportunity for a AAA, player to come on up and replace him potentially. And that would really, that would show some sense of like optimism, I guess, for the AAA people. But I mean, we're talking the Angels. So I think it really comes down to the team to make like a democratic vote type of thing to say whether he stays or he goes. But I think at the end of the day, I'd like to hear from like Mike Trout and see what he has to say. If he wants him on the team, then keep him. If he doesn't, then maybe let him go. I think it really comes down to someone like Mike Trout that has that track record with the team to kind of put some weight behind that decision, in my opinion.
Yeah, and speaking of Trout, he's the one telling Moreno, hey, spend the money. You haven't done anything with the money that Ohtani left on the table when he went to the Dodgers. Please bring on somebody that's going to help the team. He's pretty much begging Arte Moreno to do something. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and I hope Artie listens. If he doesn't listen to Mike Trout and does that, I'm going to be very upset, to be honest with you. And I'm really hoping they get Montgomery or Blake Snell as the pitcher for the Angels. I think that would be incredible. But I don't know. It sounds like Blake Snell is probably going to go to the Yankees over the Angels. So I really hope Mike Trout can get into Artie's ear, but I don't know. It's not looking like Artie's going to listen but we'll have to see, I guess.
That's true. That's true. So perfect segue. We're going to talk about Mike Trout next, and his future. This is what I'm thinking about Mike Trout is he's saying he doesn't want to be traded right now. And why would he want to leave Orange County? And I looked him up, or I looked up his recent purchase. In 2019, he bought a $9 million, 9,000 square foot house with 6 bedrooms, 8 baths, an elevator, a swimming pool with an ocean view. Why would he want to leave that? It's like the perfect situation. Is a World Series somewhere else really worth leaving that? He's already making $40 million a year.
Yeah, he's got the perfect setup. He's in the best location ever, Harbor Ridge. We spoke about it in the other podcast a few podcasts ago. And he's in Newport Beach. He's got phenomenal views of the coast. His home is already almost double the value. So, I mean, if he was to get traded, he would make a killing on that sale. But I think Mike Trout's probably one of those guys that wants to live comfortably. And if his wife is good about it, he probably wants to make her happy. So I think he's got a lot of like the personal, ideas going through his head. But at the end of the day, I mean, this guy needs to get a World Series under his belt. I think he just needs at least one. So as an Angel fan, but more so a baseball fan, I feel for the guy. And I feel for the guy, but he's making hundreds of millions. But I think he would. I think he should definitely get a World Series. And if he's not getting it from Arte, then either he needs to like pump up the crowd at the Angels clubhouse and people that behind with all the money that make all those decisions for the team to really like either kick out Arte if he's not going to do it, or Mike's got to leave. I think, unfortunately.
All right. Well, if the situation was flipped, would you take $40 million a year to live on the ocean, or do you want a World Series ring?
If I'm a baseball player, Major League Baseball player, I mean, the guy's going to be filthy rich regardless, right? I think we can make that known. I would probably leave, to be honest with you. I want a ring at the end of the day. I want at least one ring. So I would probably go, but it would also depend on what team, right? So I don't know what options he would have, but I feel like if he was to move, the contract would be pretty good either way. But would you leave as a baseball player if you were in his shoes? I feel like
no way. He's living the good life. He's on the beach. It's one of the safest communities in the country, so you could raise your family there. You're making all the money in the world. You're a first ballot Hall of Famer if you retire tomorrow. So your resume's there. The only thing that's missing in a resume is a World Series ring. But just think of all the people that don't get a World Series ring in their lifetime. Is he really missing it? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But he doesn't have to sell his house. I mean, he could always go back. He can go lease a place for like a year or two, maybe 3, I guess. And then he could always come back to the beautiful life. He's only 32 years old. I mean, the guy's got a long life ahead of him, in my opinion.
Yeah. Do you think that window's closing real quick?
Yeah. Hold on one second. Sorry.
I'll pause it.
So, yeah, I mean, Mike Trout doesn't need to sell his home in Newport Beach. He could always go back. He could rent it out or leave it empty. I mean, he's got the means to do it. So he could leave for 1 to 3 years, get a World Series, come back, live the high life of Newport Beach, California, Orange County, and he'll be set. I mean, he's only 32 years old. He's still got a long life ahead of him.
Yeah. We'll see. I do want a World Series for Trout. I don't want a World Series for the Angels, though.
I do.
Such a great player. It'd be a shame to have like the best player we've seen in our entire lives go his whole career without even winning a postseason game, let alone a World Series.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I feel like people are gonna dunk on him when he's older. Like, why don't you have a ring? You're one of the best, but you don't have a damn ring. I mean, that's not. I don't know. I think he might regret it, but I feel bad saying that as an Angel fan because I want him to stay. So I really hope he can get through to the Angel, the Angel dugout and everybody else throughout the team to really make this team better because it's really not cool to see how bad they are.
Yeah, such a big market team deserves to put a better product on the field, or the fans deserve to see a better product.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we can move on. I want to talk about Scott Boras too, and some of his clients in this
Mm-hmm.
offseason, and what hasn't, you know, materialized thus far. So we're a week into spring training games already starting, and the majority of Boras clients, with the exception of Cody Bellinger, are sitting at home watching these games. I think it's absolutely crazy. So kind of want to get your opinion. Has Scott Boras lost his touch? Are teams finally starting to push back on him and not giving in to his demands? And is he slowly becoming less relevant year by year?
I know he's getting older, but maybe clubhouses are realizing his way of negotiation, because this is all the art of negotiation, right? So I think Scott Boras has this ability to essentially wait till the last minute if he's not going to get his number, and make the other team like scramble to get the player and pay what Scott Boras wants for his players. But obviously, it seems like maybe these teams are starting to understand that that's his go-to strategy, and it may not be working. So maybe Scott needs to throw in some type of wrench in there and switch it up on these people. But at the same time, I think like Carlos Correa, he was in the same situation as like Cody Bellinger, who signed a
Yeah.
3-year contract for 80 million. I think he had the ability to opt out for 1 year. I think Scott Boras, did that for him, and I think that's a good strategy. So if Cody Bellinger performs at the Cubs after 1 year, he could sign a bigger contract for a high value, and I think that would make Scott Boras look good, and that would make Cody Bellinger look great. So I think Scott's still got it going on, man, with that 1 year opt out, and I'm still confident in Scott Boras.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. And I'm thinking if Cody Bellinger had a different agent, he would have got a more lucrative deal. And the reason why I'm saying is that Cody Bellinger was just in a prove it year in 2023 where he performed. He was an NL comeback player of the year. I have his stats here. He hit 26 home runs, 97 RBIs, batted 307. He deserved more than a 3-year, $80 million deal. I know Boras was trying to get him $200 million.
Yeah.
That's kind of far. That's kind of stretching it. But I think any other agent, less, the profile is not as high as Boras, probably would have gotten like a 5-year, $150 million contract, which I think is fair.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm thinking that, hey, nobody's taking what Boras says anymore. Nobody's putting up with his stuff and like his strong
Yeah.
arm tactics, because we look at
Right.
like Snell was given an offer by the Yankees for 6 years, $168 million. If I think that's what $28
Yeah.
million a year or so, and they said no. Like, I don't think Blake Snell's that great of a pitcher, even though he got a Cy Young. He walks too many people. I think he's a high risk. I thought 168 million was fair, but Boras is probably like, nah. And then in addition to that, you still have JD Martinez that's out. Matt
Mm-hmm.
Chapman, Jordan Montgomery, like
Right.
you mentioned earlier. It's showing
Mm-hmm.
that there's a trend where people are starting to sour on Scott Boras and his agents.
I don't disagree with that. I think you have a solid point there for sure. Um, but Blake Snell definitely, I think because he's older, I think that's the problem there,
Yeah.
because of, I think that's why he essentially didn't take it at 168 million. If he was younger, I think he probably would have, but I don't know, man. I think at the end of the day, you might have a point, but I think if Cody Bellinger does a good job this coming year, I think if he signs a monster deal after the 1 year opt out, then I think Scott Boras will be back to like feeling fresh and good and all that. But we'll have to see. I don't know. I mean, and then we still have time to see what happens with the Snell and Montgomery and Chapman to get an idea of what happens with them. But if they sign a low contract, then I think you hit the money on the head for sure.
Yeah, they might settle for like a 1-year prove it deal again, which probably sucks for a player because they're probably thinking like, hey, I spent my whole life to get to free agency to this point. I already proved myself. Now I have to do it again. Who knows what can happen in one season? You can blow out your elbow. Something crazy can happen and
Yeah.
end your career. And then you're probably looking at Scott Boras and like, dude, I went to you, paid you the most commission of probably any agent, and you didn't come through for me. But I
Right.
kind of hope it's not the case. I want to see these people make $500 million contracts. I think that's always cool because it's not my money. But
Yeah, didn't Carlos Correa sign a $200 million contract though? I think it was like for 6 years. I think he did that at the Twins, and I think Scott Boras
Really?
is his agent. So I mean, not bad, but you were talking about 500 million. So I guess we'd have to see, but I don't know. I mean, maybe he should retire after this season. Who knows? Um, well, we'll have to see. I really hope Blake Snell goes to the Angels or the Yankees. Either way, I'll be happy.
Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong either
Yeah.
way. But yeah, that's all. That's all the items I wanted to cover today. You got any other ones you wanna touch on?
No, but I'd like to know um, your Dodgers, dude. Do you think they're actually going to make it to the World? Do you think they'll actually win the World Series this year? Higher likelihood chance of happening this year or the following year?
I I'm saying we win 2 of the next 5.
Oh,
So
two
maybe
of the
this
next
year,
5 years.
yeah. So maybe this year, maybe we'll be upset somewhere in the playoffs, and then we win in like 2025 or 2026. So
Mm-hmm.
it's so hard to win a World Series. I think it's the hardest thing to do in all of the sports because anything can happen when it comes to the
Right.
postseason. You just can't just
That's
because you have
true.
a super team doesn't mean you're going to win. If we look like the Yankees, they've had super team after super team after super team and haven't even been back to the World Series since 2009. So it's incredibly hard. That's why I'm saying 2 out of 5. There's no way it's going to be more than that. Hopefully, I'm wrong, but
Now, what do you? I have one final question for you. Shohei Otani, do you think he's going to be DH forever, or do you think he's actually going to go back and be a pitcher? Actually, 2 questions. So that's one. Two, do you think if he doesn't decide to pitch for whatever reason because of his arm, do you think the Dodgers has a good lineup already, a good enough lineup for the pitchers, or not?
so I'm thinking this way as a Dodger fan. If he never pitches again, so
Mm-hmm.
what? As long as he's that DH that just
Yeah,
smacks bombs into right field all the time, I'm good with that. I think he will be a permanent DH, and
you
maybe
think so?
oh yeah for sure, or maybe they throw him in the outfield or first base. I just think I think his pitching days might be over, but that's just a guess.
Interesting.
And
But
then
But before you go on to the next one, don't you think his large contract that he got wasn't that also for he could be a batter and a pitcher? Otherwise, they probably would have made it a lot less if he was just going to be DH. If that's kind of their expectations.
yeah, maybe, but like I said in one of the first few episodes, the Dodgers are essentially getting Otani for free in the long run.
Oh,
So
that's
whether
right.
it was 700 million or 500 million or 1 billion, it's more of just having the face of baseball for the next 10 years and just
Hmm.
raking in cash because of that. So if he never pitches again, cool, but we do have the best DH in baseball for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. So anyone listening and watching, make sure to go back to Sway's last 2 podcasts ago. I think it was about the Grauman Group. I think that's how you pronounce it, and you explained that really well. So good stuff with that. I like that. Totally forgot about that for a moment.
It's all good. It might have been the first episode. So I think it was the first episode.
Probably it was your first episode. Yeah, it was the first episode. Okay, great. Now let's say Otani only does DH. Are you confident in your pitchers?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So the thing about the Dodgers is not only do they, get the top of market pitchers, but they develop better pitchers than any team in the league. They have
Hmm.
the structure in place to bring people from the minors. They draft really well, which is saying something because the last 10, 12 years, the Dodgers have had low draft picks because they've been successful. But they've taken these
Right.
draft picks and they've brought up like the Walker Buehlers, the Dustin Mays, the Tony Gonsolins of the world. So it shows like, hey, they can do more with less. So I'm not even worried
Right.
about that. And then, of course, now this is like the free agent destination forever. Everybody wants to come here to the sunshine where it's 75 every day and you have a chance to win a World Series year in and year out. So I'm not worried about the state of pitching, at least for the next 5 or 6 years.
Okay. 5 to 6 years. But you really think the Dodgers is going to be the destination forever, or not even forever, but for the next like 50 years? You think everybody's going to still want to come to the LA for the Dodgers, or no?
I think so, because it's such a cool place to play. Like nobody loves playing in Philadelphia, especially when it gets cold.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I've never been there, and it looks like a nice park, but I'd rather be in nice weather. I'd rather have like that cool climate, and then of course like everything outside in LA, just that LA lifestyle. You're an absolute superstar if you play for like the Lakers, the Dodgers, the Clippers, that kind of stuff. So LA is a different beast than everywhere else besides New York.
Yeah, New York is pretty special too. That's for sure. Well, that's good, man. I'm very excited for the remaining of the year. Not for my Angels, but for the Dodgers, the Yankees. I want to see them come up against each other and other teams as well. So there's a lot of good stuff going on, minus the Angels, unfortunately.
But who knows? If I'm a betting man, I'm sure those odds are astronomical for them to just make the playoffs. Put $100 on that.
I don't think so. It's been since 2014 they haven't went into the playoffs, so I don't know. We'll have to see, man. But good thing, like you pointed out, the tickets will stay low, so I continue going whenever I want. So that's always good.
Yeah, let me know. I'm not too far. We'll go.
No, we're definitely going for sure. I'll drag you with me, so we'll do it. We'll definitely do it. But we also got to go to the Dodger game too. So
yeah, for sure. Do we have anything to throw back at Chris? It feels like every episode, it's like somebody goes back and forth with a little thing to add on to the next episode. You want to?
I mean, the Dodgers killed, spring training, but they absolutely murdered the Padres in spring training. And that was really sad to see a few days ago or last week. So it's not looking good for the Padres. That's just for sure.
Did I send something in the group text? Something like that, like it's begun or it's starting or something like that? Because it's like
I think so, yeah. Right. But the guy's staying proud to rock the Dodger hat. He wears it like every single podcast. So he's definitely a loyal fan. Even when he goes to Georgia, I'm surprised he's still going to be a diehard Padre fan. So that'd be good.
All right. We don't want you on the bandwagon, Chris. So you can do the Dodger hats, but we're going to deny you. Like I said, no new fans. You got to be.
That's for sure. Oh, this is good, man. I'm glad I was able to hop on your show.
Yeah, for sure. But next episode, I think we should do something where we collaborate. I want to go through my predictions, or we do our predictions of who's gonna win each division and in the playoffs and all that, and we can kind of talk about like what goes into those predictions and all that. But
yeah, that would be good. I also I had a podcast done with a minor league baseball player, and I think you two hopefully can jump on and talk. He actually signed this ball for us. So actually, it's hard to see, but basically it says Full Count episode number 1. He signed it at the bottom. Kurt Hayer is his name. He's going to be going back to play professional baseball in May. So we got a couple episodes with him. So that'll be exciting. And I think, Sway, you're going to be like the perfect match with him to go back and forth and talk baseball. But I definitely want to collaborate with you on the next one. And maybe we can bring in Chris too and see what he has to say.
All right. Sounds good. Till next time, everybody.
Bye-bye.